All right, welcome everybody to another Interview Thursday this morning. We have a very, very special guest today, all the way from Ukraine. Her name is Women Grandmaster Vita Krivoruchko. Please tell me I did that right.
Good.
Yes, awesome, cool. So, she is just recently became a Florida Chess Association member, correct?
Yes.
And with that came the amazing opportunity to have her on our podcast today. So thank you very much for being with us.
You're
Um,
welcome.
go ahead and tell us about you and what it is that got you into chess.
So I started to play chess then I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's a funny story. I didn't want to play chess, but my father liked it. And he asked my first coach, Mykola Matvienko, to teach me to play chess in kindergarten. So I believed I had a different job at this time, for example, to play with my friends using toys and dolls.
Mm-hmm.
But my father and coach asked me to try to play chess during 2 weeks. And if I didn't like it, no problem, I can forget about it. I was a little girl. I said yes. I hope that after 2 weeks, I will enjoy to play dolls, really.
Mm-hmm.
And after 2 weeks, my coach saw that I like to play to swim in swimming pool.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me if I want to swim in swimming pool, I should study chess. And it was terrible news for me. But I decided to do this because I wanted to swim in pool very much.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, would not I do for swimming in the pool, of course? So I began to study chess and play in the tournaments. And thank you very much to my first coach who made me, for me all possibilities to play in the tournaments in my country and also in foreign countries. The club at school there I studied chess was in the small room
Mm-hmm.
the ground. There during the winter it would be freezing because the windows they are so thin. I wonder if these unfortunate conditions gave me motivation to be a more powerful player since I was two-time champion of Ukraine
Right.
for girls under 14 and 16. And then we got to visit to the chess club in Lviv. It was like a big holiday, especially if some grandmaster
Mm-hmm.
found time to teach us.
Yeah, that is excellent. And what was the name of your coach again?
The first coach is
Mm-hmm.
Mykola Matvienko,
Mm-hmm.
and the second coach, Volodymyr Hrabinsky.
Awesome. And did you ever get the chance to show them your GM title when you finally obtained it?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, sweet. All right, cool. So, next I have a question here is what were your aspirations when you realized you had a talent for chess?
So I dreamt to be a world champion,
Mm-hmm.
but I took only the seventh place in 2001
Mm-hmm.
and the ninth place in 2004
Mm-hmm.
in the world championship among girls. I dreamt to be a champion of Ukraine among women, but I took the fifth place
Mm-hmm.
in 2008. But I have good news. I dreamt to be coach of ladies at Dubai Chess Club for 1 year, and
Mm-hmm.
it was the best year of my life in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I dreamt also to be a commentator of FIDE Women's World Chess Championship match in Lviv
Mm-hmm.
2016, and this dream came true.
That is excellent. And also, you were a special guest for the St. Louis Chess Club in 2016 as well, correct?
Yes.
All right. And how was it there? How was it presenting the games and teaching young minds?
I like it very much,
Mm-hmm.
so everything was perfect, and I love it.
That is
Chess
awesome.
club, wonderful.
That is awesome. And
One of the best in the world.
and being a coach just really has its own pleasures. You know, you're showing people what you know, and you help them to improve, and it just feels good. All right, cool.
Yes.
Uh, she has a couple games to show us today, which is from her career, and the segment is psychology of competition. So throughout, she'll be explaining her thought process with each move. I have not seen these games yet, and probably I'll be asking questions that most of the viewers will be asking as well, if necessary. So let's go ahead and get started with game one here, and if you can go ahead and set the stage for us as to when this game was played and what round it was and so on.
So this game I played with Sandeepan Chandan. He is Grandmaster, 2596. And I like to play with Grandmasters very much. I don't afraid them. I'm really happy for this chance to play with a stronger player than me. It's interesting how they will play with me, if I will see their moves. I don't want to make a draw. I try to do the best, and I want to win, of course.
All right.
And
the fighting spirit.
Yes, I played for one game. We played in United Arab Emirates in Fujairah Open Tournament. I played e4, knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6 as a natural move, of course, to stop knight b5, bishop e3, knight c6, f3, and bishop d7. I think he didn't choose good line for black, maybe because he was sure that I'm ready for theory, and he wanted to play something new, because after his line, I had better position, and you will see this. So in d2, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, e5, bishop e3, go back, of course, rook c8. It was interesting move for black here, h6, but I will play bishop c4 here, bishop e7, knight d5, because this clown d5 is strong, and I should use it, of course. After e5, d5 square is weak.
Right.
Knight takes d5, bishop takes d5, with the idea to attack on the pawn b7. So he should defend it, bishop c6, castle, rook c8, and this is better position for me, of course. I have more space, I have strong bishop on d5, he has weak pawn on d6, and if we will exchange the light squares bishops, it will be still better position for me, because my bishop is strong on e3, his bishop on e7 is passive, of course.
Okay.
On this pawn structure d6 and e5.
Is it okay if I backtrack a couple moves here?
Yes.
Awesome, cool. No problem. And guys, this is I mean, very, very high level play here. You can see how quickly she goes through the games. Like, I'm already intimidated. Like, oh my goodness. So backing up to when you mentioned that bishop to d7 was not such a strong move. If maybe you can go a little bit more in depth as to maybe why, because I know that maybe the natural move is g6, bishop g7, I believe.
Actually, e6 is natural move, bishop
E6?
e7,
Okay.
castle inside, so it's better, first of all, to make castle for black, and then to think how to develop the pieces on the queen side.
Okay, and was the key square, which I've seen the next 5-6 moves or so, was d5 here, so e6 is preventing all that stuff.
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense then. Okay, and question number 2 I had was, actually you answered it, never mind. You're so quick, okay. I love it. It's great. Oh, this is the actual game. So, I'm sorry.
Yes, bishop e3 here. He played.
There you go.
Second. Yes. Rook c8, g4. With the idea to attack on the king side. The main idea for white to make castle queen side. The main idea for white to make castle king side. So that's why, of course, the main idea for me to push the pawns on the king side and to attack. h6 is a natural move to stop g5. It was interesting move for black, bishop e7, castle queen side, and b5 immediately also to attack on the queen side, g5, knight h5, but it's still better position for me. So
it's amazing how all that can happen from one move.
Yes. h4, of course, also as a natural move to push the pawns on the king side and attack. Bishop e6. Now you see that it was problem of move bishop d7 because he lost a tempo.
Right.
He moved with the bishop twice, and bishop e6 was also better to play from c8 ground. Castle queen side, queen a5. He tried to attack on the queen side also, on the pawn a2. It was interesting for me. Move Queen B1 here.
Always play King B1.
Yes, with idea to defend the pawn on A2. For example, if Bishop E7, A3, and it's a very interesting move for him. Rook takes C3, Queen takes C3, Queen takes C3, B takes C3. So he sacrificed the rook for the knight. 5, E takes D5, knight takes D5 with the idea to attack on the bishop E3 and the pawn on C3. D2 to defend the pawn on C3. Bishop takes A3 and the rook E1 with the idea to attack on the pawn E5. So here, of course, still better position for me, but he has some compensation because I have double pawns on C3 and C2. He has pass pawn on A6. And his knight on D5 is thrown. I should develop my pieces on the king side. And he doesn't need to make castle right now because we exchanged the queens. So it's an interesting line.
So before move 13 here, just before you castled queenside, did you have this idea in mind that you might potentially go into this position?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I know that castle queenside was a natural move, so after queen a5, I began to calculate something like this. That's why I didn't play king. I played a3 first of all. He played bishop e7, and it was a mistake because here also was correct move rook takes c3.
With a similar.
Yes, queen takes, b takes, d5 again, e takes d5, and here it's a little better for black because he can play bishop takes a3 with a check.
Yes,
you see?
That's annoying.
And now king b1, knight takes d5, so same position after bishop d2, but I lost the tempo.
Yeah, wow. Whew. Again, like I said, guys, I'm already intimidated. This is amazing.
He didn't
stuff
play this. I don't know why, because it was correct for him. He played bishop e7, and it was too slowly.
Now, before the game, before you even move one, when you're preparing for your opponents, did you know what lines he normally plays into? Or did you prepare for your opponent?
Course,
yes. Okay. Sorry, if it seems like a trivial question, but it's questions that part of the interview. So when you're
that's why I think he decided to play bishop d7.
Okay.
In this line.
Gotcha.
Something new.
And then from that move, you're like, okay, I got this. And from there, you're going to push forward and see if you can punish
Actually, bishop
move.
d7 I didn't expect.
Okay.
But I understand that I think that it's not the best line, and I began to think how to push the pawns on the king side and how quick I can attack.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
So bishop here, bishop e7 he played, and I played bishop h3. It was not correct move because I think the best move was g5 immediately. H take g5, bishop take g5 with idea bishop h3, and if d5, bishop takes f6. So my idea bishop h3 and stop d5 because I can take bishop takes f6.
Right. And that's a stronger
play
bishop.
This because I want to take this the pawn h to g5. And it was a little slow for me. So you can see the game, bishop h3. So I wanted g5, h take g3, and bishop takes c6, h take g3, something like this.
Right.
In the future. He played knight d7, and that was correct. And here, it's funny, but correct move in this position is bishop f1.
Oh,
because h3 was not correct for me. And I should go back because it's dangerous for me if he will play knight b6 and knight c4.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. Okay.
So it's a dream for him to exchange the knight on my dark square's bishop.
Okay.
That's why it's better to play bishop f1 and exchange the knight on this like slice bishop instead to lose my bishop on e3. But this bishop on e3 is very important.
And it's a hard move to find too, is a backward move.
Yes, it's not my move.
Going back home, yeah. It's like now you always want to move forward if you can.
Yes, so I play g5. This is my move to attack. So h take g5. Mm, and this is not correct move for him. It was actually blunder. It was better for him. Bishop takes h3, rook takes h3, and after h take g5, I cannot take h take g5 because he'll take yes my rook.
I gotcha.
I should play h5 here, knight f5, knight f8, and bishop take g5, bishop take g5, queen take g5, rook takes c3 again. I should always calculate this move. Yeah.
Yep.
Bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, queen g7, queen takes a3, and something like this. Queen d2, queen b4, king e2, queen c4, and black has some compensation here. Because my king, yes, is walking.
Absolutely. I mean,
queen side to the king side.
I need more coffee on this game right now.
Yeah.
And that's impressive though, to see that even at the highest level, a small move can be missed. So guys, for those that are still learning chess, who are still improving, do not think that because you're playing a higher rated player, they're going to be 100% perfect. Anything can happen on the board. Take your time every single move. I think that's very important.
Yes, and you should calculate very deep line.
Yes, yeah? Like this, super deep. Oh my goodness, how many moves is that? Wow, 8 moves. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, I'm warmed up and ready to go.
So I played h takes. He played h take g5, and I had dream take this bishop on e6. So
yes.
He gave me this possibility because pawns on e6 and e5 double pawns, and that's good for me. Bishop on e6 was dangerous. That's why it's good. And also, I have pawns on e4 and f3, and it means that it's good for me to exchange likes with bishops.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense.
Endgame, yes. In the endgame, this bishop will be bad.
Okay. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, okay, it makes sense to trade out bishop because that was a pretty strong bishop, but I couldn't see deeper why, and that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Thank you for pointing that one out.
H take g5 again I took, and that was not correct because better bishop take g5. Now this pawn on d6 is weak, and it's okay for me to exchange dark squares bishops.
Okay.
But I thought that it's not correct strategy move because of these weak pawns. e5, d6, that's why I took immediately h takes g5.
Gotcha.
And I did calculate, yes, bishop takes g5. So, for example, queen d8, f4, e takes f4, bishop f4, and pawn d6 is very weak.
Gotcha.
So better position for me, and his king is without castle.
Yes. And the queen's still on the board, you definitely don't want to be there.
Yeah. Should go back.
So now, I'm sorry. I was just going to ask a question
yes.
to bounce on the topic of psychology. At what point in this game did you feel super comfortable that, I guess, I don't want to say no worries, but you felt comfortable enough to play almost any move in the position?
I told you that it's very interesting for me to play with grandmasters, and I enjoy the game. If I lose, no problem. He is stronger.
Okay.
But if I win, I will be happy.
So it's definitely taking it as a learning experience as opposed to, oh my gosh, I just made all these mistakes. Gotcha.
Yes.
I think that's excellent. Okay. So she's entering this game with the mindset of calmness. Love it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. H takes g5.
Yeah, rook takes h1, rook takes h1. And the correct move was knight b6 because he played this move with the idea knight b6, knight d7. And it was interesting. For example, rook h8, king d7, rook takes c8, knight takes c8, or king takes c8. Still a little better position for me. But he exchanged the rooks, and it's not so dangerous for him. Because, for example, he played knight f8, and I had this strong rook on h1 and open file. h1, h8, which I can use, of course. So it was better for me. I played rook h8 immediately. And again, correct move was king f7 for him. For example, g6, king takes g6. I should sacrifice this pawn on g6 with the idea to open g file and to improve my queen.
Right.
For example, king f2, rook c6, f4 again to open more files.
Mm-hmm.
E takes f4, bishop takes f4. Again, rook takes c3, correct for him. Queen g2, king f7, bishop d2. For example, rook takes c2, king takes c2, queen b5. And so still better position for me.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no checkmate for him, so it's good. King f7 was correct.
Guys, this is a variation. This isn't the actual game.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the game, he played b5, and it was a mistake because after g6, it was totally winning position for me. I cut it. The king from f7 square. My rook on h8 is very strong. His knight on f8 is passive. He cannot jump to e6. He should leave the square on d7 for his king. Winning position for me.
So, that is very curious. Did this move? I assume that this move was on your radar to play, but with the move played in the game b4. What made you decide against playing g6 here in the game?
G6 is a natural move because I want to play, for example, bishop h6, then g7, g8 to make a queen.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So I can sacrifice, for example, this bishop and then g7, g8.
Ah, tactics. That's tough. Yep. Okay.
But I didn't see this in the game.
Okay.
I played king b1 and it was a little slowly for me.
Okay. That is kind of hidden though. Yeah, that's hard to see.
Yeah. Knight a2, queen b5, queen takes b4, queen e2. He tried to create some attack on the first rank because my king is weak. Correct move was again queen b3 here for me, with idea take the pawn on e6.
Okay.
And after, for example, queen f3, I can play queen d3 to attack the pawn on a6 now. King f7, and I should go back rook h2 with the idea to use f5 and to play rook f2, for example. In g8, knight b4, something like this, because I need to make a square for the king on a2.
Yeah, that's incredible how you're striking at this king a lot. So
yes, I should solve this problem with my king, and his pieces will be very passive. Knight f8, bishop e7. This pawn structure is bad for him. His was bishop. So
now, a natural move I feel that black, I guess you should be calculating every move is d5. Is that ever a worry, or is that good for you because it trades out your weakness?
After d5, I think I can take on d5 or take on a6.
Well, not in this position, but at any time when they could successfully.
Yes, I should calculate this move always.
Okay, gotcha.
Dream for him to push that pawn and open dark square's bishop.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So I played king a4 in this position. Check. King f7, bishop c1, and rook c4. Maybe it was a little better for him, queen f1. Yeah, but still I can play queen b3 and it will be winning position for me. Bishop c1, he played rook c4. I played queen b3, go back, rook d4. So he tried to play something like a rook d1 and queen d7. I decided to make a pin.
The position started feeling a little messy.
Yeah, yes, it was critical moment, and I should play a rook takes f8. Again, it was not easy to calculate all these things. For example, bishop takes f g6, king takes g6, queen takes e6, queen h7, and queen f7. And I can put the bishop on f8.
And you're
because
protecting.
He cannot defend it.
And
pawn on f3, and 2 pieces for the rook. Right?
Yeah, and you have the safer king. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
So it's winning position for me.
Hard to play.
If, for example, he will play king takes f8 instead bishop takes. I can play queen takes e6, so I
Mhm.
have compensation here. For example, queen c4 was the idea to exchange the queens, but I don't want.
Right.
queen,
You're
queen,
attacking.
queen f7, yes, queen c8, queen e8, and queen h3, queen g6,
Ooh.
knight c3. Again, with the idea to use the square on d5.
Mhm.
So I have compensation, queen f7, bishop e3, rook c4, knight d5. Step by step, I can improve my pieces. And he still has problem this bishop on e7, and he cannot play rook c7 to defend this bishop. So, for example, queen e6,
Mhm.
g6. I can sacrifice this pawn again. Queen take g6, queen d7, queen e6. I will go back. Queen b7, and after rook c5, for example, I can play bishop g5,
Mhm.
win this g7, e7.
Phew. That was one heck of a tactic.
Yes, it's not easy to see, but
Mhm.
I should feel it that I will have compensation. And this bishop on e7 is really very bad,
Mhm.
and I can use it.
And about
So
this.
rook,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
so rook
Mhm.
f8
Mhm.
was a move, brilliant move, and it was correct move.
And what was rough? If you can remember, when what the time control was about here? How much
Mm,
time you and your opponent had?
yeah, 90 minutes
Mhm.
and for 40 moves and plus 30 minutes for each
Okay.
person
So we're
of
still
the
before
end.
time control, and it's getting
Yes.
okay. So it's probably maybe a
I
little bit.
had time to think. I had
Yeah.
time to think, but I didn't see this.
Okay. Okay. I was just curious. Thank you.
So I played queen b7,
Mhm.
and he played rook d1, knight c3, rook takes c1, king takes c1, queen e1, knight d1, knight g6, rook c8, with the idea rook c7 and attack this bishop on e7,
Mhm.
knight f4, and again I made a blunder here. Because I played rook c8 with the idea rook c7, and after knight f4, I didn't stop to think about the rook c7, and I should try to find something new, something better, and correct move was b4 to create square on b2 for the king, because I have problem. He wants to play knight e2.
Mhm.
So for example, knight e2, king b2, queen takes d1, queen d7, queen c1, king a2, queen takes g5, queen e8, king f6, and rook c7, and I can win this
Oh my
bishop.
goodness. That is
Yes.
incredible.
Again, I
Mhm.
had problem with the king. I should solve this problem.
Mhm.
Then I can finally attack the bishop on d7 and win this bishop.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow.
I played rook c7 immediately, and it was last blunder in this game. So after knight e2, king b1, queen takes d1, king a2, he has always checks and a draw.
Okay.
So in this game, I had winning position all game, and in the end, I made a blunder. This move rook c7, and he made a draw.
Wow. Uh, I'd be scared out of my mind as black being in the center of the board and getting struck at every single move. Holy moly.
Yes.
That is an incredible game there. So this game was so against a GM, and was this one of the tournaments where you were getting your norms?
In Fujairah Open Tournament
Gotcha.
at Arab Emirates.
Mm-hmm. All right. Wow. Amazing, guys. And just so you guys know in the chat, if you're tuning in, if you got any questions here for um, how would you like to be addressed today? I can, Woman Grandmaster Vita. I'm going to butcher the last name if I try again. But anyway, guys, if you got any questions for her, feel free to go ahead and ask in the chats. That's what we're here for. And also, and I noticed on Lee Chess is she's also a coach. So go ahead and check her out on there too, if you're still doing coaching.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's true.
Very sweet, and look at this. She's my mind is blown by just all this stuff for here. So go ahead and check her out if you haven't done so already, guys. All right. Let's go ahead and hop into So okay, actually, before we hop into game two, let's see if we can get a takeaway from this game. That was a lot to take in. Okay, so most of this game is you're attacking the king that is in the center of the board. You're
Yes,
preventing the pawn move d5, and
yes,
uh, trying to make the proper trades here, such as not the bishop h3. That idea just kind of went against it, having to play bishop back to f1,
yes.
and so finding the right play in the position. And hmm, that's tough.
Every move
I
is
don't even know how to ask
important.
a question here. Royal Crown Chess says nice trophies. From the chat, they're saying nice trophies to you in the background of your Zoom. Oh.
Next game I played with International Master.
Mm-hmm.
I played for white again. So e4.
Which tournament was this? I see.
It was a tournament in Las Vegas.
Okay. Oh, Las Vegas. All right. So you came to the United States, how did you like it?
I like it very much.
Yes.
Yes, I was 2 times in United States, and I like very much.
And before we started, you mentioned Maurice Ashley as a good friend of yours. Did you meet him before or after you came and visited?
No, actually, I saw him in this tournament, Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I had a vacation in New York during 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
I then to Grand Canyon. I saw Niagara Falls. I walked in Central Park. I saw Broadway show, and then I had one wonderful day with Maurice Ashley in Brooklyn.
That is awesome. I mean, I know Maurice Ashley is a great guy too. I love watching his streams, his commentary. I wish someday I could be as good as him at interviewing. I'll continue working on it. Hopefully I'm doing okay so far. All right. Well, let's go ahead and hop in. Yeah.
Yes, it was a Rui Lopez defense.
Mm-hmm.
Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, knight f6, castle, bishop e7, rook e1, b5, this is theory, bishop b3, d6, c3, castle, h3, knight a5, bishop c2, c5, d4, queen c7. I was ready for this line. d2, c takes d4, c takes d4, knight c6, and I forgot what to play, and I played d5.
Okay.
But correct move was knight b3 here.
Okay.
Knight b3 to defend pawn on d4, and to open my ducks plus bishop c1. So I played d5. I closed the position. Knight b4, bishop b1, a5, knight f1, and bishop d7, a3, because this knight on b4 is dangerous for me, and that's why it's natural move to push it and to see what happened after that. Knight a6, bishop a3 to develop the bishop, knight c5, knight g3, the typical idea to use f5 square or to play knight h5 in the future. So rook fc8, also to defend the pawn on e4, because after knight c5 is dangerous, he can take it.
Right.
Rook f is c8 to put the rook on the open file on c8. And correct move was b3 here for me, with the idea to stop his move a4 to prevent. Queen b7, for example, and then bishop c2, bishop d8, queen d2, and it's slightly better position for me because I have more space here. For example, in the future, I can play rook c1, also to put the rook on c4. But it's not easy for me to attack here because he can push g6 in the future. You will see it.
Okay.
So here, I played queen c2, and correct move was for him a4 with the idea to stop b3.
Right.
But he didn't play this. He played g6. So rook c1, queen d8, because it's dangerous to have the queen on the same file as the rook. And again, he had a chance to play a4 again, rook e2, something like this. Still a little better position for me. but he decided to play queen d8 immediately. Bishop b1, knight a4 with the idea to attack the pawn on b2, queen d2 to defend it, knight b6, now with the idea to play knight c4. And again, the same idea as in previous game, to exchange the knight on the dark square's bishop, which is strong. So I played bishop d3. Again, in this position, it's better to exchange the bishop, light square's bishop on the knight. Knight c4, bishop takes c4, and b takes c4. Now black is
I'm sorry, go ahead.
On c4. Yes, you can ask me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say also because of the pawns being on light squares and just hemming him in.
Very well. Okay. You are a good student.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So, rook c3. The main idea for white in this position to double the rooks on c5 and to attack on this pawn on c4, of course. The main idea here may be to double the rooks on b5 and to attack my pawn on b2.
Okay.
But he played bishop b5 with the idea to defend the pawn on c4.
Now, from this moment, from this moment on, is pretty much the game going to be geared towards these two pawns, or maybe even this guy potentially? Not so much.
It's not easy because yes, he played g6, and I cannot play knight f5.
Okay.
And I cannot use my dark square's bishop to attack the pawn on d6. Maybe in the end game, yes, you are right.
Okay. Okay.
I have possibility, but right now, no. In the middle of the game, it's not easy.
Gotcha.
D6 is not without my pawn on d5. Yes, you are right. D6 pawn is weak.
Okay.
But my pawn on d5 blocked. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, was a critical moment there. I should put my queen on c2 or e2, and correct move was queen e2, rook b8, rook c1 to double the rooks on c5, a4, knight d2 with idea to attack with more pieces on the pawn c4. And it was correct for me. For example, in the future, something like knight f1, maybe f3, to move with the bishop and to put knight on e3 from g3, knight f1 and knight e3.
Okay.
So I didn't want to play queen e2 because I'm afraid that this bishop b5 will make a pin in the future if I will take the pawn on c4. Something like this, I'm afraid. But it's not a big deal because if my all pieces will defend the knight on c4, it's not a problem. That's why I played queen c2. So there is no this pin, but queen e2 was better for me. So knight d7, a4, I played, and correct move was rook c1. Rook c1, rook a b8, knight f1, the same idea, bishop f8, knight f3 to d2, and maybe in the future f3, move with the dark square's bishop and to play knight e3.
Okay, so yeah, the pressure on c4.
To attack this all pieces, yes, on the pawn c4. But I played a4, and I put my pawn on the light square, and you will see in the future it will be weak. Bishop a6, knight d2, knight b6. Now he defends the pawn on c4 and attack also my pawn on a4. So now my queen should defend this pawn on a4.
And she rather have an active role, right?
Yeah. Correct move was knight gf1. For example, king g7, rook b1, and bishop g5, bishop takes g5, queen takes, and knight e3. Again, to attack this pawn on c4. And still better position for me. But I played rook b1 immediately. So rook a b8. Again, knight gf1 still was better for me. With the same idea, but I played bishop takes b6. Queen takes b6 because I wanted to win this pawn on c4. But knight gf1 again was better for me. After queen d4, I could play knight e3, bishop g5, and then knight e takes c4. I took immediately. I wanted to win. I dreamt to win this pawn.
Yes.
It was a mistake for him. So correct move was for him here. Bishop takes c4. Rook takes c4, rook takes c4, queen takes c4, bishop h4 is dangerous for me.
That move came out of the blue. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
he wants to take the knight on g3
Mm-hmm.
and win. My king on g1 is weak. Knight h1 is terrible move, of course. So I should play queen c3 here,
Mm-hmm.
bishop take g3, queen take g3, and queen b4 is a problem for me because he can take the pawn on a4 and he can take the pawn on e4.
Mm-hmm.
Pawns are weak. Do you remember I told you that in the future a4 pawn will be weak and you will see it?
Right.
So if it was better for me to kill the pawn on a3. And here now it's better position for him.
Mm-hmm. Just more activity. Yeah.
Yeah, bishop takes c4 with the idea to play bishop h4 was correct move. But maybe he didn't see move bishop h4 and he played queen b4 immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't take. I'm lucky. Knight d2, king g7, knight gf1 again was correct move to improve my knight because a knight on g3 is better right now. After g6, I cannot play knight h5. I cannot play knight f5. That's why I should think how to improve my knight.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be a common theme with that knight.
Yeah. Bishop g5 and strong move rook c6. Rook takes c6 and d takes c6.
Mm-hmm.
And I pass pawn on c5. Something like this. Very interesting position. 2 knights and 2 bishops, you see?
Yeah.
So I made a blunder. I played queen d1. I don't remember right now why I did this move. Maybe I wanted to play knight e2, something like this. Okay. Maybe I played something like knight h5 or knight f5 to sacrifice the knight with the idea queen h5, rook g3.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
So
I was gonna say, like, for those at home, pause the video and see if you can figure out the tactic. Darn, that was so close.
Yes.
All right, but we'll go ahead and that's all good. We can continue on.
So after bishop g5, I took on c8, rook takes c8, and knight df1 was very passive for me. It was better to play knight f3 here, bishop f4, knight e2, but now my pawn on e4 is big. He can take, queen takes c4, knight f4, queen takes c4, and it's total winning position for him, of course. But still, it was a little better for me because after knight df1, he has strong move h5 with idea to push h4,
right.
And I cannot defend my pawn on e4. So I decided to sacrifice the knight here, knight h5, g takes h5, and without my rook on c3, it's not so strong as I thought before.
Okay.
So queen takes h5, bishop f4. Correct move was here at g3, rook g8, queen f3, something like this. But after king f8, it's a winning position for black. So, I have not competition for the knight.
I'm very, very curious. When you decided to play this knight sack, that must have shocked your opponent.
I don't think so. Knight takes h5. If he played h5, it's natural for him to calculate knight takes h5 because I will sacrifice the knight on 2 pawns. So,
okay. So it was a practical try, regardless.
Yes, okay. I'm sure that he calculated this and he saw that I have not compensation because I have not pieces to attack except queen.
Gotcha.
My
okay.
Rook, yes, is too passive. I should defend my king with the knight on f1 and there is no compensation.
Okay, so sometimes you just have to consolidate.
Yes, queen f5 here. Queen b6 he played. Correct move was for him rook c2. To put the rook on the second rank and to take the pawn on f2. So, for example, queen g4, king f8, queen f3, queen d4, and it's winning position. All my pieces are bad, and he has 2 strong bishops, active queen, active rook on c2, and losing position. But he played queen b6. Knight h2. Correct move was for him rook g8 again to put the rook on the open g file and king g4. Maybe he should play queen d8, but after knight e3 he can play in the future something like king f8 and to open this file for the rook.
So this is
still position for him.
Yeah, this is a very very different game now. You're showing a game where you're on the losing end and trying to fight back.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Uh,
Actually, draw is unusual result for me.
mhm.
I have one cup because I played in the tournament without draw, any draw. So as usual, I prefer to win or to lose the game.
It's the fisher mentality too. It's,
Yes,
go
but
all in.
in these games,
Mhm.
the first game I had all game winning position and he made a draw, and here I had losing position and finally I did draw.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Yes.
And how did you, I guess, reset or rebalance yourself in a position where you knew you were worse?
You know,
Without
I
losing.
always speak to my students,
Mhm.
play at the end. Do the best. Okay, you lost the pawn, you lost the piece, doesn't matter. Do the best, try to play the best moves, and you will see what happens. If you will lose, okay, no problem. You made blunder, you lost the pawn piece,
Mhm.
but if maybe you have chance to make a draw, maybe you can win.
So never give up is the mentality.
Yes, same. I'm thinking about myself.
Gotcha. Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
So I could resign here many times, yes, because it's totally a losing position for me.
Mm-hmm.
And but I try to do something because I sacrifice at the knight and I try to improve my attack. So you will see this.
Mhm.
And he made a blunder. After knight h2, he exchanged his good bishop on f4 on my knight, which is good for me.
Mhm.
It was a dream for me. Rook c2. Correct move was for me b4 here. E takes b4, queen g5, king f8, and rook takes b4. So after queen takes b4, I have queen d8,
Perpetual.
g7, queen g.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I didn't see it also.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun game because I decided to play f3 first of all.
Mm-hmm.
I afraid f2 or queen takes f2, and I played f3.
Mm-hmm.
He played queen 3, and here correct was h4 for me. For example, queen d2, queen g4 to defend the pawn on g2, b3, rook c3, and winning position for black again.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided to play 4 with the same idea here.
Mm-hmm.
He played bishop c in h5, and here correct move was for him queen f4, in h1, for example, a takes b4, rook f1, and b3, and again losing for me.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
decided take it, takes b4, which is good for me. I was happy.
Mhm.
So queen h4, and maybe a little better was for me here for him rook c1 with the idea to exchange the rooks, because if he will exchange the rooks, okay, he has free bishop and it's winning pass pawn on b5 and it's winning position.
Right.
Queen g3, for example, king f8, rook takes, queen f2, b3, queen b6, b2. That's all.
Yeah.
But he played queen takes f3. He decided also to play a little risky. So I cannot take g takes f3 because it's a pin.
Mm-hmm.
But after queen g5, king h7, I have wonderful move rook f1.
Oh.
So I can sacrifice the rook.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful.
Go back, rook f7 will be dangerous for him because after king h8, queen g7 checkmate. So he has no choice.
Oh my
He
goodness.
should take my rook and it's a draw.
That
Finally,
is,
I did it.
that is wonderful. Oh my goodness.
Yes. He made a lot of moves because he didn't want to believe that it's draw.
You know, I had a game
So
just like this, but it's obviously not anywhere near as high quality. But I was in a lost position. I had messed up an attack that was winning, and I had to find some sort of perpetual. It was a double rook sack plus a bishop sacrifice to get a queen perpetual. So that's awesome to see that you guys look for it too. That is hard.
So we can write the book and to make puzzles like this.
Mm-hmm. This is amazing stuff. And there you go, guys. That's the excellent example. Never give up, even if it looks hopeless, because
It's true.
it's up to your opponent to prove that they're winning.
Yeah.
Win with the.
Fight till the end.
Hmm. That is awesome. That is an awesome perpetual. Holy moly. Wow.
Yes, but Ruge Fan is very beautiful move, right?
Hmm.
It's
That
easy also to see
out of
this.
nowhere. Oh my goodness. Thank you for showing me that one. That was really cool. I mean, both games are
You're
amazing,
welcome.
especially. Yeah. All right. Wow. Holy moly. And what I'm realizing too is I've already had very high quality games um, and lessons from other masters and coaches, and this is the first time I've had the pleasure of having a grandmaster show me their thought process going through the moves. And I want to thank you first off very much for being here um, and showing everybody what you can definitely do. Like it's I'm my mind is blown by how trivial moves to me, which seems very difficult, is such a simple move for you. It's just like, oh yeah, yeah, that's just a tactic over here. That's strong over there. It's like, but it takes me 20 minutes to think about that.
Yes, I believe you.
Hmm. So, thank you again for that. This is amazing. And also, in your notes here that you gave me for the interview questions, you mentioned your husband is also a grandmaster.
Yes, he's grandmaster.
And have you two had sparring sessions against each other?
No,
Okay,
I have no time for this.
gotcha. Yes.
We played one game in the tournament, Blitz tournament
Hmm.
in France, 10 years ago. I didn't want to play this Blitz because it was after 2 rounds.
Hmm.
And I won this game, so I was happy. He was not happy because he pushed me to play in this tournament.
He wants to get the payback. Come on. That's
Yes.
that is awesome. And any plans currently, or any plans right now for doing more tournaments, or obviously when COVID gives up and so on?
Right now, I'm coach
Hmm.
online during last 10 years.
Yep.
And I played the last tournament in February,
Hmm.
my birthday day. And it depends from the situation in the world.
Right, exactly. Well, hopefully we can see you back in the tournament scene. That'd be amazing to, go ahead and let me know. Send me a message if you're having a tournament and it's on DGT and it's being broadcasted. I would love to do some commentary on that and, throw it on sometime, That'd be fun. So,
Okay.
if you guys have any questions in the chat, this is, again, uh, Women Grandmaster Vita. I gotta pronounce this last name. I'm gonna try again. Krivoru. Ah, darn it. Krivoruchko.
Very well.
Okay, close enough. I'll take it. So thank you so much again for being with us today, and I hope you had a good time here too. Try to keep it light. It's about you showing us, all the amazing stuff that you can do for chess and chess scene, chess world. So thank you guys
You're
again.
welcome.
Have a wonderful morning, and we'll have this on YouTube.